news this morning? Yes, you heard me. What's the news this morning? No. I am not asking you to pick up the newspapers like Dainik Jagran, Times of India, Hindustan Times, Economic Times and start reading the headlines. No, I simply wanted to know what is your news today morning. In simple words, how are you today? और हिंदी में बात करें तो आपके कुशल समाचार क्या है? Interesting? You find this way of asking or starting the conversation something different than the routine way? Yes. So I'm sure you have now guessed the content, the title of this beautiful series. Yes, I am going to present a wonderful and absolutely informative series on creative or imaginative writing. Welcome to the magical world of creative writing. Today is the first episode of this wonderful series and the name of this episode is The Beginner's Guide. Yes, this particular episode of today is aimed at two things. Number one, to welcome all the writing enthusiasts. Yes, all the writing enthusiasts into this beautiful field of creative writing, and of course to address their queries, their questions, their doubts, their nervousness and the complete hurricane of emotions they are surrounded with even before entering this wonderful field. So I look forward for providing you with some information purely based upon my experience in this field, my own creations, as well as my professional expertise and experience. So let's start today's episode by enlightening you all with certain possible questions, doubts that normally the beginners or the novice, N-O-V-I-C-E, this is another word for beginners. So जब हम लोग क्रिएटिव राइटिंग की फील्ड में एंटर करना चाहते हैं तो हम ऐसा क्या महसूस करते हैं कि हमें लगता है कि दिस इज द फील्ड वी शुड ट्राई. नॉर्मली पीपल ऑफ एनी एज ग्रुप, 6-year-old child or 17-year-old young boy or girl or any person of any age, जब हमें लगता है कि इस पूरे कॉस्मॉस के ब्यूटीफुल क्लूज हमें इंस्पायर करते हैं अपने आप को शब्दों के थ्रू एक्सप्रेस करने के लिए, तो हमें लगता है हमें राइटिंग का एंथुजियाज्म है. अब राइटिंग इतने टाइप्स की होती है, अगर आप सर्च करें इंटरनेट पे या किसी से पूछें या एक्सपर्ट एडवाइस लें कि बिगिनिंग लेवल पे आपको ये अंदाज़ा लगाना मुश्किल होता है क्या ये फील्ड मेरे लिए है, क्या मैं इस फील्ड के लिए हूँ, क्या मैं इस फील्ड के लिए सूटेबल हूँ, क्या मेरा इमेजिनेशन या थॉटफुलनेस सफिशेंट है टारगेट ऑडियंस को चार्म करने के लिए, क्या वो इतना इवॉल्व है कि मैं एक वॉल्यूम राइटिंग कर पाऊँ, क्या मुझे करना पड़ेगा इस फील्ड में आने के लिए. देयर आर many such questions which are absolutely normal if you have. And today I am going to answer few of the most important questions and try to give you that comfortable space that you are looking at. So let me address your very first question that people normally ask when I interact with them, and that is, what is creative writing and how different it is from the other forms of writing. राइटिंग चाहे किसी भी तरीके की हो, राइटिंग का हमेशा से एक पर्पस होता है. Yes, writing always aims at a specific purpose. And based on that purpose itself, we have various different magnificent types of writings. मैं कुछ writing के examples आपके सामने लेती हूँ, आपने शायद सुने होंगे. Academic writing, technical writing, content writing, creative writing, etc. etc. Let me help you understand how different creative writing is from the other mentioned forms of writings. Let's talk about the very first form of writing, and that begins at the school and college level itself, and that is known as the academic writing. Academic writing is also known as scholarly writing, and this kind of a writing is very precise, very clear, very up to the mark, and supported with some or the other kind of backup evidence. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आपको अपने स्कूल की, कॉलेज और स्कूल लेवल की टेक्स्ट बुक्स याद होंगी, प्रिसाइसली हिंदी, इंग्लिश, मैथमेटिक्स, जिसमें बहुत सारे पिक्चर्स होते थे, बहुत सारा कंटेंट होता था, बट वो कंटेंट एक टॉपिक से रिलेटेड ही होता था, बिकॉज एज वाइज या हमारे ब्रेन कैपेसिटी वाइज हमें पहली बार स्कूल एक कंटेंट पढ़ाने की कोशिश करता था. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, प्लांट. जब हम लोगों का नया नया साइंस सब्जेक्ट इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ तो हम लोगों की साइंस की बुक इंट्रोड्यूस हुई. आई स्टिल रिमेंबर माई बुक ऑफ साइंस चार्म्ड मी लाइक दैट कि कंटेंट शायद जो भी लिखा हो, ऊपर से पार्ट्स ऑफ द प्लांट और लेफ्ट पेज पे प्लांट का पूरा पिक्चर जो बना हुआ था विद flags in that stem, leaves, flower, birds, roots. That is so predominant in my mind even till today कि मैंने बुक शायद कल ही खोली हो. So that is called academic writing. Very precise, very up to the mark, very to the point, very crisp, very focused, very structured. इसमें हम ज़्यादा अपने सेल्फ इमेजिनेशंस को अप्लाई नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि हम पहली बार ही उस टॉपिक को हर तरीके के बैकग्राउंड के, हर तरीके की ब्रेन कैपेसिटी के, हर तरीके के बच्चों के ऊपर इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम. So the purpose is to bring clarity about the topic. Second type of writing is the technical writing. Technical writing is perhaps one of the most coveted forms of writing in the professional workplace. Coveted means pratishthit or highly desired. Now, have you ever seen some dossiers, manual, instruction booklets, handbooks, etc.? They are all the example of technical writing. बिल्कुल स्ट्रेट अवे पिक्टोग्राफ से, राइटिंग से, स्टेप बाय स्टेप, चार्ट से, टेबल फॉर्म से हम बिल्कुल अपने टू द पॉइंट बात कहते हैं, एजेंडा पे स्टिक करते हैं, सो दैट जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन करनी है वो एक प्रोसीड्यूरल वे में एंड यूज़र तक पहुँचे और बाद में कोई डाउट और कोई टॉपिक पे कंफ्यूजन्स ना रहे. नेक्स्ट फॉर्म ऑफ राइटिंग आई एम गोइंग टू इंट्रोड्यूस यू विद इज known as the content writing. Now, content writing is one of the most popular, widely used medium of charming the target audience, basically via the online or the digital medium. Yes, you heard me right. So whatever website you go through, whatever contents you study about, anything that attracts your attention or you want to know about, अगर आप किसी कंपनी के बारे में जानना चाहते हैं, आप किसी पर्सनैलिटी के बारे में जानना चाहते हैं, आप किसी भी इम्पॉर्टेंट प्रोसेस, डॉक्यूमेंट या किसी भी ऑब्जेक्ट के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन लेना चाहते हैं तो गूगल पे आप ब्राउजिंग करते हैं या उनकी स्पेसिफिक डेडिकेटेड वेबसाइट्स पे जाकर के आप डिजिटल कंटेंट पढ़ते हैं. सो इस तरीके की राइटिंग जो एक पूरा विजन, एक पूरा नॉलेज देती है किसी भी डॉक्यूमेंट के बारे में, पर्सनालिटी के बारे में, आइटम के बारे में, प्रोडक्ट के बारे में, वो सब जो डिजिटल मीडिया पे के थ्रू लीड जनरेट करने का काम करती है, टारगेट ऑडियंस को आपके फेवर में अट्रैक्ट करती है और लोगों का इंटरेस्ट आपके प्रोडक्ट, प्रोसेस या किसी भी पब्लिसाइज मटेरियल की तरफ अट्रैक्ट करते हैं, उसके लिए जो राइटिंग की जाती है दैट इज नोन एज द कंटेंट राइटिंग. And the fourth and one of the most popular forms of writing people are majorly attracted nowadays is the creative writing. Yes, now creative writing is an absolutely magical form of writing. It's a sort of narrative writing with the use of a lot of insurmountable. जितना भी आप अपना imaginations use करना चाहते हैं, you can freely use that. This is something like you are driving a car and you are sitting at the driver's seat. So over here, the creative writer's brain and the imagination within it is seated at the driver's seat. So गाड़ी बिल्कुल वैसे चलेगी जैसे आपकी imaginations उसको drive करेंगे. Now this is something like a parachute. अगर आपने एक पैराशूट को देखा है तो पैराशूट जितना भी ज़्यादा इग्नाइट होने के बाद एयर में जाता है, यू जस्ट कैन नॉट हैव द लिमिट बाउंडेड विद दैट. आप जिस डायरेक्शन में उसको फ्लो करना चाहें, आप जितना ऊपर उसे ले जाना चाहें, दिस इज प्योरली बेस्ड ऑन द विंग्स ऑफ योर इमेजिनेशन. I hope this gives you a clearer picture about the different forms of writings and how creative writing is a little different than the others. So when writing with a purpose of attracting and charming the audiences without any specific agenda of selling something or bounding the audiences on something, but purely based on your imagination, your thoughtfulness about anything from the cosmos is there. This is known as the creative writing. This episode is primarily based to cater the unsolved, unheard, unanswered questions and doubts and nervousnesses even just before entering to the magical field of creative writing. One possible question that hit the contributors hard is, what all should I do already? What I should be in advance prepared with to enter into the world of creative writing? So to answer this question, I would say that the only prerequisite that you require is a set of 3 or possible 2 things. You want to know what? The answer is a pen, a paper, and a lot of imagination. Yes. Now, pen and paper can be easily substituted with a laptop or a desktop. So what are you left with is a good and a sharp and an avid interest towards imagination. What do you see in my hands? An orange, a quinoa, or a fruit from the same citrus family? No, this is not the ordinary orange. This is my episode's real hero for the day. Do you want to know how? Stay tuned till the end of this video for many interesting expressions as well as some important tips which are really going to help you if you really feel that you are at the beginner step and really want to progress further and evolve yourself in the journey of paving way into creative writing. So another important question that normally the beginners are surrounded with is, I love writing. I feel that if I see anything as simple as this pencil, do you see a pencil in my hand? Now this pencil can be a big source of inspiration for you. अगर आप इसको सिर्फ पेंसिल की नज़र से देखें, it's okay, है पेंसिल है, but अगर आप इसको एक इंस्पिरेशन के तौर पे देखें और इसमें वो चीज़ें ऑब्जर्व करने की कोशिश करें जो एक नॉर्मली नॉन राइटिंग ब्रेन नहीं कर पाता है, तो आपको बहुत सारी इंस्पिरेशन ये सिंपल पेंसिल दे सकती है. Want to know how? Let's address another important question. Yes, I have this feeling that I feel like writing my expressions, whether it is in the form of a memoir or a poetry or a short story or a big article or a lengthy essay or anything. But when I express my observations through words, it gives me immense pleasure, it gives me immense boost to my thoughts itself. So अगर आपको लगता है कि ये सब चीज़ें तो मुझ में हैं, लेकिन बिकॉज मैं एक बिगिनर हूँ, अभी मुझे इस फील्ड में अपनी जर्नी शुरू करनी है, तो मुझे लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं जो थॉट्स होते हैं, जो इमेजिनेशन होता है, उसमें वो वॉल्यूम नहीं है. यानी कि इतना कंटेंट या इतनी एनरिच्ड वोकैबुलरी या इतना प्रोफाउंड एंड डिस्क्रिप्टिव इमेजिनेशन नहीं है कि वो टारगेट्स को लाइन बाय लाइन चार्म कर सके. तो मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ अपनी इमेजिनेशन को बूस्ट करने के लिए और अपने थॉट्स को विंग्स देने के लिए. Now I'm going to share you 2 important activities that we often do at the school level itself, but we normally never progress with that. Okay, want to know what? So if you remember, during the school days, even before we become the grade schoolers are the students who are from grade 1 to grade 12. However, all the classes that we do before are known as the pre-primary category. In order to boost the vocabulary of the students once they turn 3 or 4 or 5, there is a very, very interesting activity that we do, and the name of the activity is show and tell. Yes, the show and tell activity. This activity is something like, if you have done very good, if you have not done, this particular explanation is for the beginners. This activity, again I come back to my pencil. This activity is something like this. I will show you a pencil and you have to create as many words as you have observed, experienced, felt, and have done with that pencil. I totally leave the description to your experience, your imagination. Now, some children can write wood because they see that the pencil is made of wood. Some children may write sharp tip, which is also true. Some children may write black handwriting. That is also okay. Some children may say long, straight, round. Or if they have a colorful pencil, they can talk about, like I have a slightly dull gold pencil, so I can say dull gold, like that. So this is what pencil, when I look at it, looks to me like. However, if we continue working on such activities, minimum 2 to 5 objects per day in the beginner's zone, we feel an immense change in our expression and thoughtfulness towards the commonly available items in the whole cosmos. आपके घर में कितने सारे ऐसे items हैं, अगर आप राइटिंग करना चाहते हैं और आपको लगता है कि आपके थॉट्स उतने इवॉल्व नहीं हैं, आप उतना डाइवर्स नहीं सोच पा रहे, तो अपने घर में से कोई भी, किचन से, लिविंग एरिया से, स्टडी कॉर्नर से, आप कोई भी 2 से 5 ऑब्जेक्ट्स लीजिए और उनके बारे में मिनिमम 5 to 8 to 10 वर्ड्स, जो भी आप सोच सकते हैं वो लिखिए. धीरे 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 विद अ कंटिन्यूअस प्रैक्टिस यू वुड सी how magically your scope of observation is now getting the wings, and how beautifully now you can even give a creative touch to the commonly available household item. Now let me talk about my hero. This is something, the family of a fruit from the family of the citrus fruits. अगर मैं आपको ये ऑरेंज दिखाती हूँ तो आप इस ऑरेंज को देख करके क्या क्या बोल सकते हैं? What are the words that are coming to your mind? You can write in the comment box also. Now, you can say round, you can say orange, you can say juicy, you can say orange juice. Like that, because you have tasted it, you have felt it, and you can also say that hard from outside and slice it down, cut it inside. सोचिए, ये सब तो हो गई कॉमन ऑब्जर्वेशन जो हम सब देखते हैं, एक्सपीरियंस करते हैं इस फ्रूट को देख करके या इस फ्रूट को कंज्यूम करके. अगर कोई बच्चा आपके सामने एक आंसर शीट लेके आए, नाउ अज्यूम दैट यू आर अ टीचर, आप इन्विजिलेट कर रहे हैं और आपके सामने कोई बच्चा ऐसा ही शो एंड टेल एक्टिविटी लेके आता है और वो ये कहता है या ये लिख के दिखाता है बाइसिकल, दिया, elephant, human, bathtub, craft, flower. What are going to be your expressions then? You would left mesmerized. You would either be left confused. You can either be totally surprised. You yourself, I'm sure, would not be having the answer or the immediate expression to handle such kind of witty responses from the children. First, what would you do is, you would go and check and verify the correctness of the answers given by the students. If you really want to know whether this superhero is actually like that, I'll show you some interesting images to. So, अगर आप एक बिगिनर हैं और राइटिंग की दुनिया में अपना पहला कदम रख रहे हैं, क्रिएटिव राइटिंग की दुनिया में, तो बहुत ज़रूरी है आपके लिए एक पेन, पेपर और इमेजिनेशंस के साथ रेडी होना और थोड़ी सी अपनी इमेजिनेशंस को एक्सपेंशन देने की. एक्सपेंशन देने के लिए टिप ऑफ द डे, यू कैन इंडल्ज योर सेल्फ इनटू अ सेल्फ शो एंड टेल एक्टिविटी. You can do it with 2 to 5 easily available household items. List down at least 8 to 10 to 15, depending upon your age and your creative brilliance. Give it those many dimensions. जितना आप इनोवेटिव, जितना आप आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स सोच सकते हैं उस ऑब्जेक्ट के बारे में, उतना लिखिए. And then we would move towards the complex stages in the coming episodes. You would realize that by the time my series would evolve, you and your writings, you and the evolution of your thoughts are happening parallelly if you follow what I tell the same way. Second activity is the evolved version of the show and tell activity, and that is known as the mind mapping or the brain mapping. Brain mapping is also something like this. However, it is a little complex stage of show and tell, जिसमें आप और complex dimensions को touch कर सकते हैं, purely based on your thoughts, your imaginations, your creative brilliance and the पर्पज़ ऑफ योर राइटिंग. कि आप अपनी क्रिएटिव राइटिंग से एक मैसेज कन्वे करना चाहते हैं, तो आप अपने ब्रेन को और मैप कर सकते हैं और सीजन कर सकते हैं और इनोवेटिव सोचने के लिए. तो जस्ट लुक एट दिस चार्ट. दिस विल गिव यू अ स्लाइट आइडिया हाउ द ब्रेन मैपिंग समवट लुक्स लाइक. Another simple yet magical activity that is going to give wings to your imagination is known as reading. Yes, the classical act of reading. Normally we ignore reading because we fail to see its connection with imagination directly, but yes, the more you will read, the more your thoughts evolve, the more forms of the diverse forms of expressions you become aware of. If at the beginner's level you feel that you just cannot read volume, the moment you read or flip 5 pages you feel sleepy, refrain that. Don't read volume. You can get the inspiration from small quotations, small poems, writings, small article. Just browse the topic of your choice. If you read any article on the topic of your choice, like some people are highly inclined towards sports, some people are nature lovers, some people the comparison way of writing, like comparing an object with life, comparing an experience with phenomena, like that. So just browse your favorite topic on the Google and involve yourself into half an hour of a reading every day. This reading I suggest you do aloud instead of the silent reading. Why I tell you? Because when you do silent reading, a lot of expressions, where to give a pause, which word to give emphasis on, it often remains on the silent version as well. However, if you read aloud, then aloud reading, it is a small poem that eyes are open, ears are listening, mouth is quiet. Even we feel the emotions. So our whole body from head to toe listen to what is being spoken. So जब आप अलाउड रीडिंग करते हैं, कहाँ किन शब्दों पे दबाव देना है, कहाँ एक्सप्रेशंस पे जोर देना है, कहाँ शांत होना है, कहाँ रुकना है, इसको जब हम ज़ोर से पढ़ते हैं ना, तो हमारे इवन एब्जॉर्प्शन पूरी बॉडी के अलग अलग मीडियम से होता है. और बात जब दिल तक उतरती है, तब कहीं जा कर के वो टच करती है हमारी उस क्रेविंग को, जो अब तक कहीं ना कहीं हमें लगता था कि शायद मेरा शौक़ है, शायद मेरा पैशन है, शायद मैं कर सकता हूँ, शायद मुझे गौर करना चाहिए. सो इफ़ यू फील दैट यू हैव अ क्रेविंग फॉर क्रिएटिव राइटिंग, respect it. I personally suggest that respect and unleash your creative cravings, because if you are not going to do it yourself, nobody is going to do it for you. So remember the 3 simple steps at the beginner's level. I repeat, as covered in the video once again for you. Your tip 1 of the day is be ready with pen, paper and a lot of imagination. Number 2, don't get nervous if you feel that you can write but your thoughts doesn't have a volume and doesn't have an insurmountable number of visions or imaginations, no worries. That can easily get a boost if you start indulging yourself into various activities like show and tell, self show and tell, as well as brain mapping and a lot of reading. Practice these simple things right from today, and by the time my next episode about the life cycle of creative writing would air, you would already be going through a lot of quotations that would have given your thoughts a lot of ignitions and tickles that wow, how come I was missing all these beautiful things so far. So if you are nervous, that is pretty okay. If you are confused, that is also pretty okay, because you are a beginner into this field. I'm sure the information shared in this video must have given you some enlightenment about this beautiful, magical field of creative writing, how different it is from other forms of writing, what are the prerequisites to enter into the field, and how your imagination get a beautiful boost via certain simple activities right from the items available at your home itself. Stay tuned with me and wait for my next episode about the life cycle of creative writing. Bye bye.